Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a semifinal game for the Hill United Chiefs as they are hoping to capture the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament title today. The Chiefs fell 2-1 last night to Carlos Parra and the Bear Creek Express, who, with that win, advanced directly to the championship game. For the Chiefs, on this Sunday morning, they will take on the Toronto Batmen for the fourth time this season. They did meet yesterday here in Kitchener, with Hill United winning that game by a score of 6-1. And Hill leads the season series against the Batmen, who do not have all of their key players in attendance for the weekend. They've added a couple from the Georgian Bay Giants, but they were still able to upend the Bear Creek Gremlins with their only round-robin win to advance to this semifinal game in what began as a five-team tournament. And let's take a look at the lineups to begin. Here is what Lee Jacques, the fine head coach of the Toronto Batmen, will send to home plate, including longtime Hill United Chiefs star Nick Shales, Danny Benson, Cody Skelton, who drove in the only run of the game versus Hill yesterday as the designated player, and Mason McKay will bat in his customary number 9 spot. As far as Hill United is concerned, defensively, and happy to report that after getting hit in a very difficult area last night, Pipolo Lopez is here. He will not be available. He did spend time in hospital last night after he was hit by Carlos Parra, but the news seems to be good on that front. So the Chiefs with a couple of injuries. In the outfield, Nick White in center, Quentin Bruce in left, Alan Pecker, who's had a whale of a weekend, is in right field. Blake Hunter, Khalil Luna in place of the injured Shane Bolin, Lenny Viavazo, Tony Gonzalez, Bruno Matroni behind home plate, and the starting pitcher for today will be Marco Diaz. Now, in the round-robin affair for Hill United, Jeff Ellsworth, John Stewart, John Hill, the coaching staff, opted to go with 3 different pitchers in all 4 of the games, keeping the innings down, giving the opponents a bit of a different look through the course of the game. But it is Diaz who will get the nod here on this Sunday morning. Overcast, 21, 22 degrees, and we hope again, as was the case yesterday, that Mother Nature will cooperate and we'll get the final 2 games in. So here is Marco Diaz taking to the circle. He's 8-3 on the year. So far at the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament, he's pitched 10 innings. He's given up 1 run, 6 hits, struck out 18, and walked 3. In the game against the Batmen yesterday, 3 innings of work, no runs, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, and a couple of walks. So we are nearly set to begin, maybe a few minutes early, with some threatening weather. Probably not a terrible idea. And Japanese national team member Ryuji Okawa will lead things off for the Batmen. He is playing at second base today. Also a wedding that has influenced the lineup for the Batmen. Johnny Baker, I understand. Congratulations. Married on Friday night. Our umpiring crew, Matthew Leclerc behind home plate. The birthday boy, Dave Jackson, is at first, and Gino Iannone is at third. Great to have you with us, no matter where you might be looking on this Sunday. We are in Kitchener-Waterloo. Hill United has played in the last 2 straight tournament finals. They're hoping to make it a third as Diaz gets a sign and delivers a ball to Okawa. He's 0 for 4 in terms of his performance yesterday in the 6-1 loss at the hands of Hill United. He has homered this weekend. He did that in the opening game loss at the hands of JDT First Energy. JDT ran into some injury problems to the point where they forfeited their last game yesterday. And that was against the Bear Creek Express. So they had an easier road to the championship final. Great game last night, and some performance by Carlos Parra, who limited Hill United to the one run on the one hit. And it was to the first batter, Alan Pecker, a home run. And after that, he struck out 17. Okawa drives the ball to left. Quentin Bruce with room, and he'll make the catch for out number 1. So pretty good contact for Ryuji Okawa, who played at the World Cup for his home country of Japan. He also played in the 2023 U23 World Cup. On this occasion, you see Quentin Bruce watching it all the way into his glove. And now it is Nick Shales, the longtime star with the Hill United Chiefs, 10-time All-World member at the ISC World Tournament. And he is 4 for 11 in the first 3 meetings of these two teams against Hill United, with a couple of runs batted in. Did have a hit in 4 at-bats in the game between the two teams yesterday. Shales fouls it off the foot. Nick, 41 years of age, calls Waterford, Ontario home. He is originally from Australia, Lismore in the New South Wales area. And one of the game's great players over the last couple of decades. And Diaz missing just outside. Ball and 2 strikes to Nick Shales with 1 out. Top of the first. This is a semifinal game to the winner, a date in the championship final versus the Bear Creek Express. And Diaz with a pitch that Shales was not quite ready for. And Diaz has his 120th strikeout of 2026. And it was a rise ball and the late swing, suggesting that Nick was expecting a different pitch. And here's Tyler Pauli, who had a couple of hits in the game yesterday. Former member of Canada's national team. He's from Mitchell, Ontario. 2 for 6 on the season against Hill United. And make it 3 for 7. As he has swung the bat well this weekend. Tyler Pauli got his hands around on this very quickly to get it through the zone and pull it into the hole. As Pauli, playing in the outfield today, sends the ball to where he will be playing in the next half inning. And Bruno Matroni already out having a conversation with the infielders and primarily with the pitcher, Marco Diaz. And the hard-hitting first baseman, Denny Benson from Rama, Ontario. He homered opening night against JDT. Was 0 for 2 in the game against Hill United yesterday morning. 1 for 9 on the season against the Chiefs. And the drop ball out of the zone from Diaz. Arguably the hardest thrower in the sport today. When he's at top velocity, be in the 87 and 88 neighborhood. And we'll see how the Chiefs coaching staff utilize their pitchers on this championship Sunday in Kitchener. And that's a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Denny Benson. He played for Canada at the Pan American Championships early in the year. And drives this to center field. Nick White back. So is Alan Pecker. And I think they're going to determine that it's a home run, as there seemed to be a little indecision. The fence was knocked over, and home run is called. The temporary fence, which is always in play here, and the ball goes over, and it's 2-0 for the Batmen, as Denny Benson with his second hit of the year versus Hill United. As that ball really carried a long way off the bat. Didn't seem like it might be headed quite that far. But Denny Benson has opened the scoring with a 2-run homer. And Marco Diaz does not give up a whole lot of those. Change-up gets away on him. So a great start for the Batmen, who won the first meeting of these two teams at the Bear Creek Classic, which is all of a sudden almost a month ago. Corey Way is the batter. He's from right here in Kitchener-Waterloo. 3 for 7 on the season versus Hill United. Doubled, tripled, and drove in a run. And all of that activity, minus 1 hit, came in the 7-3 win in Bear Creek at their brand new facility that will play host to this year's ISC World Tournament starting August the 8th. So Marco Diaz surrenders a first inning home run to Denny Benson, and now trying to end the inning, and will do that right there, much to the chagrin of the batter, Corey Way. 2 strikeouts, but the most important play in the top of the first was a 2-run Denny Benson homer. It's 2-0 for the Batmen. We'll set the Hill United lineup and the Batman defense. When we return, you're watching Hill United Chiefs softball on Softball Premier TV. So Hill United finds themselves down a couple of runs as they come to bat for the first time. And we'll feast our peepers on their lineup. With the absence of Shane Boland, Alan Pecker leads things off. Bradley Ezekiel in his customary number 2 hole. Quentin Bruce, Matroni, Khalil Luna, who I've been really impressed with this weekend, the 22-year-old playing shortstop in place of Shane Boland. Blake Hunter and Nick White will bat in the number 9 spot. And the starting pitcher for the Toronto Batmen will be Riley Mannion, and he also was on the circle when these teams played yesterday. Way, McKay, Paul I, Mitch McKay at short, Nick Shales, Ruichi Okawa, Danny Benson, who's just homered, Derek Hyde behind home plate, and as we mentioned, it is Riley Mannion who gets the call. Riley, so far this year, against the Hill United Chiefs, has worked a total of 6 innings. Yesterday, 3 innings, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, struck out 1, and walked 3. As Alan Pecker will step into the batter's box. Alan has had a really good weekend. He's homered in his last 2 games. He's up to a team-leading 8 on the season. Had a 3-for-4 performance with a home run against the Batmen yesterday. And the Chiefs know they require some runs right off the get-go. And Pecker first pitch hitting, Okawa. And 1 pitch in, there is 1 away. Allen is usually a very aggressive hitter, and when you perform the way he does, why would you change anything? On the topic of great hitters, this is Bradley Ezekiel. And that one almost took a bite out of him. As Mannion delivers. 2 balls to Ezekiel. 13 for 55 on the year as Bradley, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 14 runs batted in. Came in late in the game. In fact, he was the last batter to face Carlos Parra to end the game last night in a 2-1 Bear Creek Express win. Brad has just the 1 hit on the weekend. It came in a 4-1 triumph over the Bear Creek Gremlins yesterday. Change up. Carrying. It is out of here. Bradley Ezekiel sat on a changeup and has his 4th home run of 2026. And in one swing, one of the all-time great hitters over the last couple of decades in this sport draws the Chiefs back to within a run. And one thing that allows hitters to be great, terrific, fantastic, use whatever adjective you like, is their ability to read the game and have a feel for what is coming their way. So the long ball, as was the case last night in the game between Hill United and the Bear Creek Express, home runs accounted for all 3 runs in that game. Home runs have accounted for the first 3 runs in this game. But I get the sense there might be plenty more before it's all said and done. Quentin Bruce, he's had a good weekend. Had a really important 2-run homer versus the Gremlins yesterday. And Quentin bent over in the box as he asked the home plate umpire about the location of the pitch. There is always non-stop banter, batter, catcher, umpire. On the ground to Benson, he'll have time, even though Bruce gets down the line in a hurry to make the play, and there are 2 away. And now the veteran catcher, Bruno Matroni. Bruno's 17 for 53 as Benson with about a step and a half of time to make that play. 4 doubles, 4 home runs, 19 runs batted in. Bruno did have a hit in 2 official at-bats versus this opponent yesterday. As Bradley Ezekiel with a home run after Denny Benson went deep for a 2-run shot in the top of the first inning. A rise ball finds the top portion of the strike zone. As Mannion had a little extra gas on that. Riley has really good stuff. Matrone smacks it right off the base of that temporary fence. And Matrone's 5th double of the year has a tying run in scoring position. As Matrone, same type of pitch as the one before that went for a strike, and he got the hands through the zone in a hurry to rip that to the fence. Lenny Villavazzo, who missed last weekend due to a lower body injury, if you will. Hill United delighted to have him back this weekend. He was just so hot when he got nicked up in the championship final of the Canada East tournament 2 weekends ago in Mitchell, Ontario. And Lenny had a marvelous game against the Batmen yesterday. Started things off with a 3-run homer in the first. He doubled. He went 3 for 4 with 3 runs batted in. So Matrone being replaced, courtesy runner. The previous player to go out, Quentin Bruce. So more speed on the base pass with that move. Villavazzo has 16 runs batted in so far this season. Looking for a 17th. And pulls it foul towards his own dugout. Just nicely underway. Semifinal game of the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament. One of 3 divisions. And this a 5-team elite division when things began at 6 o'clock here on Friday. And there is activity as Nick Shales with a great reaction to rob Lenny Villavazzo of an extra base hit. The former Chief at the hot corner. That's a fine effort. Ezekiel homered. It's 2-1 off to a eventful beginning here in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
Welcome to Montana.
A 2-1 lead for the Toronto Batmen in the fourth meeting of these teams in 2026. Danny Benson with a 2-run homer for the Batmen, and Brad Ezekiel responded with a home run of his own, a solo shot for Hill United. Bruno Matroni looks like he needs some help with the mask or maybe the pitch comm system, as he'll trot his way back into the catcher's area. And Mitch McKay is the batter, the shortstop. Really good young player from Tavistock. Did not participate in the meeting yesterday. He's 2 for 5 on the year with a double against Hill United. Played for Canada at the World Games last year. Marco Diaz in his second inning of work. And it's interesting, with even the world's best, and Diaz is one of those. Good fielding play again by Blake Hunter, who has absolutely been sure-handed over at third all season long. And Mitch McKay is retired. To finish my point about world-class pitching, generally, if you're going to get to them, you'd like to do it early. Cody Skelton. He drove in the only run against Hill United in the 6-1 Chiefs victory yesterday. Came off the bench with a pinch hit single, roped one into right field. And looks at a strike from Marco Diaz. Skelton with just the one hit so far on the season versus Hill. And behind on that drop ball from Diaz. Marco did have 2 strikeouts in the first. The 0-2 pitch, down and away. And it's the rise ball that gets the job done for out number 2. Two away for the catcher, Derek Hyde. Played for Canada earlier this year at the Pan American Championships. Also a member of the Canadian national team at the World Games last August in China. And he swings and misses on the first offering from Marco Diaz. He's 1 for 4 versus the Chiefs in 2026. 0 for 2 in the game yesterday. On the ground. And just foul. As Hyde nearly had himself an extra base hit. A bounder that kicks foul. So Diaz quickly ahead in the count. And strike 3 from Diaz. Diaz up to 4 strikeouts through 2 innings. That is an inning that he would absolutely be happy with. Hill United trailing. They'll bat in the bottom of the second when we return with more Hill United Chiefs softball on Softball Premier TV. Tony Gonzalez leading things off for Hill United. The 36-year-old from Mexico who's homered 5 times and driven in 20 runs already this season. He is 2 for 8 in Kitchener this weekend. And one of those hits came in the 6-1 triumph over the Batmen yesterday. As Mannion works inside for a strike. Good rise ball. Gonzalez did come into the game after a scary-looking injury to Pipolo Lopez, who was hit in a beyond difficult spot by Carlos Parra. And he was down for quite some time, ended up in the hospital, but again, happy to report that he is with the team and at the ballpark. Will not play today. All these teams have next weekend off before they return to action in Tavistock the weekend after. Gonzalez, a chopper. Mitch McKay with time to retire him. And 22-year-old Khalil Luna batting in the number 7 spot. 14 for 48. He's doubled a couple of times, tripled twice, including a triple that led to the first Chiefs run against the Gremlins yesterday. He has 9 runs batted in. He has great hands, both at the plate and especially in the field. And he doubled in the game versus the Batmen yesterday. Hit this into an area, but Mason McKay got a great jump off the bat. He read that beautifully. And there are 2 away. Just a little off the barrel. And turns into an out. Third baseman Blake Hunter. He is hoping to get going with the piece of equipment in his hands today. Has yet to deliver a hit in Kitchener. An impressive 14 for 43 on the season. And don't be surprised if number 3 is a significant contributor on this Sunday. Riley Mannion and the Toronto Batmen have other ideas. And Mannion with another rise ball. That's kind of been the bread and butter so far today. Hunter, foul. And we will indeed see a pitching rotation again today. Tyler Randerson is starting to work, the longtime member of the Toronto Batmen in his first full year with Hill United. Don't think we'll see him in the next inning. He's still throwing overhand, not underhand, down the third base side. And do we have an equipment problem for Mitch McKay? Does he need some glasses? So the shortstop, I think he requires, I thought maybe some glasses. I would only be guessing at this point. Oh, his nose is bleeding. That's the problem. All right. Plug it up and away we go. Hunter, they're going to ask. I don't think there was a swing, and neither did Dave Jackson. Celebrating a birthday today. And a ball makes its way onto the playing surface. Blake has one of his 3 home runs this season against the Batmen. And this one in the air, Mason McKay takes care of business. So a ground out and a couple of flyouts to the center fielder. It remains 2-1. The Batmen in the semifinal game at the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament. Center fielder Mason McKay, Ryuichi Okawa, Nick Shales are the scheduled batters. A 2-1 Toronto Batman lead in this semifinal. Denny Benson with a 2-run homer in the top of the first off of Marco Diaz, and this very likely will be his last inning of this game. The Chiefs look like they'll stay with the plan of using all 3 pitchers in a game, unless a game is shortened, and this one does not appear like it's headed down that type of a direction. Mason is 1 for 7 with a run batted in versus Hill United, 0 for 3 in the game yesterday. Rise ball out of the zone. So Diaz very comfortable and dialed in the second. A 1-2-3 inning for him. And pours in that hard drop, generally in the mid-80s range. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mason McKay, who made a couple of outs defensively in the last half inning. And the count runs full. And here comes the payoff. And it's ball 4. So Diaz with a rare walk to Mason McKay. And the member of the Japanese national team carving out the batter's box. The Japanese in this sport, and just about every sport they play, can be very fundamentally sound. So there would be some options here for the Batman, as he looks down to third base for a sign. Handles the bat relatively well. And there's good speed at first in Mason McKay. But no bunt attempt offered on that swing. He does have a home run in the event. Picked up for the weekend. On the ground, Gonzalez thought about going to second for the force and made a good decision. That would have been very, very close. So taking the sure out rather than potentially starting a big inning would have been very tight. So a runner in scoring position after the ground out for Nick Shales, who struck out versus his former teammate. And he tries to surprise everyone with a bunt. Has a big smile on his face as he'll take a swing in the on-deck circle area. Yeah, Nick has such a great personality and just absolutely loves the game. And he drills this. It's sinking, and Quentin Bruce with a good defensive effort as that ball was really starting to tail towards the ground. As Shales hit it well. Bruce comes up with it for the second out of the inning. And now Tyler Pauli, who singled and came home on the Benson 2-run home run. He has 3 hits against Hill United this weekend. And another one could add to their advantage. On the outside corner. So Tyler Pauli from Mitchell, Ontario. Was an all-world player at the 2018 ISC. Matroni, a snap throw and a dandy that almost caught Mason McKay, who had to really scramble back. Boy, Matroni got a lot on that from his knees. He still gets it to second in a hurry. And a changeup to even the count at 2-2. Marco Diaz in likely his last inning of this game wants to limit any more potential damage. Full count. And the sun starting to break out, which is good news. And Pauli with a good eye to draw a walk. And the gentleman who's responsible in part for the 2 runs, Denny Benson, will make his way to home plate. And that pitch just off the plate. Denny Benson's 2-run home run has provided the Batmen with a 2-1 lead in this semifinal game. They only won 1 of 4 games in the round robin, but it was the right one, their last one. Yesterday evening versus the Bear Creek Gremlins, a 7-4 win A huge grand slam in that game, the key blow. Two on and two out. Top of the third. So an up and down 3 innings for Marco Diaz. Tough first, sailed through the second, and now battling in inning 3. And delivers his most important pitch. A drop ball that was swung on and missed by Benson. So the Batmen leave a couple, and Hill United will come to bat in the bottom of the third, trailing by a run. You're watching Hill United Chiefs softball on Softball Premier TV.
With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here, you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you. Welcome to Monthill.
Two hits apiece. 2 home runs in the game. A Danny Benson 2-run homer in the top of the first. A Brad Ezekiel solo shot in the bottom of the first. That is the scoring in a nutshell. Is Nick White batting in the number 9 spot today. Hitting just under 500 on the season. The 22-year-old from Truro, Nova Scotia, is going to be playing this game at a high level for a long time. Riley Mannion. Works to White, works up and out of the zone on that occasion. Nick's for 20 for 44. He's homered twice and knocked in 11 runs. And he came about 2 feet away from tying last night's round-robin finale versus the Bear Creek Express. He drove one right to the fence off Carlos Parra, who was sensational. One of, if not the best pitching performance I have witnessed this season. And he's just 19 years old. Nick White, a bounder over the head. He's going to go all the way to try for 2, and he's going to get there safely. And there was no hesitation from the Hill United Chief speedster, Nick White. The minute he left the box and knew it was going to be at least 1, he had 2 on his mind. Paulai, a strong throw in, not in time to get Nick White, who leads off the bottom of the third with, I believe, his first double of the year. And Alan Pecker with a runner in scoring position. Runs up the box. Showed bunt. Makes a little cross, it would appear, in the batter's box. before he digs back in at the back of it. No one out. Hill United trailing by a run and looking to change the equation. And he tries to slap down a bunt. Jeff Ellsworth, very aggressive in his coaching style. He wants to put pressure every chance he can on an opponent. And when you have some of the speed that Hill United has in its lineup, why not? So Mannion and Hyde want to make sure they're on the same page. Always the case, especially with a runner at second. And I don't believe that the Batmen have the pitch comm system. Try and take a look here at Derek Hyde. Nope. Given the signals the old-fashioned way. As Mannion comes back to even the count against Alan Pecker, who has already homered twice this weekend in Kitchener. And drills this into right field. Nick White will score easily. Another rip for Alan Pecker. And that might do it for Riley Mannion. This is a bullet off the bat of number 59, who has yet another hit and drives in his 11th run of the campaign, and the game is tied. We'll take a quick break. Riley Mannion will give way, and we'll tell you who the new pitcher is in about a minute from now on Softball Premier TV. The new pitcher, pickup for the weekend from the Georgian Bay Giants, Taiga Onishi, and he's been impressive this weekend through 4 scoreless innings. Opening night against JDT, but his most impressive work came in the win yesterday versus the Bear Creek Gremlins. He came on in relief. 4 not only scoreless, but no-hit innings against the Gremlins. Walked just 1 and struck out 3, and will face Hill United for the first time. So an Alan Pecker single has tied the game at 2 here in inning number 3. Is Onishi from Japan completes his warm-up tosses. And the first batter he will face is Brad Ezekiel, who's already gone deep in the game in the bottom of the first inning. His 4th homer of 2026. So Riley Mannion, his day is over, and Onishi with a rise ball out of the zone. So he tries to get his landing area mapped out in the way he would like it. Alan Pecker, the base runner, at first. There he goes. Hyde's throw does get him. Ryuji Okawa accepts the short hop and puts the tag on to get Alan Pecker. And the throw was a good one from Derek Hyde, and there's one away. A check swing foul by Ezekiel. Taiga Onishi, 0 for 1, or 0-1, pitched in 7 innings. Ezekiel make it 2 on the day, and that's a complete and utter no-doubter. Back-to-back home runs for Brad Ezekiel, who had 1 hit in the first 4 games of the weekend. But he's had the homer hat on twice. And it's 3-2 Hill United. And when this guy gets locked in, forget about it. Nobody even moved. As it goes off the top of the permanent fence. As he drills it. And Taiga Onishi greeted that way. Fifth homer. 16th run batted in for Bradley Ezekiel. Goes off the mask of our home plate umpire, Matthew LeClaire. Been a lot of fun this weekend getting to know some of the umpires. They are occupying the same space up in the broadcast booth area that we have been. It's been really interesting just to listen to them talk about the game and how they handled certain things. And some really, really fine people. And they work and care about their craft every bit as much as the players. Quentin Bruce. Change up, fouled it back to the screen as Bradley Ezekiel has gone deep to give Hill United its first lead of the day. It's 3-2 after Alan Pecker had driven in Nick White, who doubled to start the inning. Still just the one out. Quentin Bruce grounded out to first baseman Denny Benson earlier in the contest. Backing up Okawa. And there are 2 away. Hit it hard, but Okawa read it very well. stayed back to get a favorable hop. And has a good throwing arm. 2 away for Bruno Matroni, who doubled off Riley Mannion, and he had a big hack at that pitch. He wanted to take that one. Of 2026. They had not advanced to a final prior to. Matroni with another hit. As he drives the ball the other way. So Bruno's 2 for 2. And that's just great hitting. The outside pitch, didn't try to pull it, goes with it, and drives it into right field. So he's 2 for 2. And the third inning rally continues. Lenny Villavazzo was robbed of a hit by Nick Shales at third. 2 out. Keep an eye on Quentin Bruce to see if maybe he might be on the move here with a couple out. As Lenny Villavazzo asks for time and digs out the batter's box. Field is in great shape here. Rise ball up and away. Bradley Ezekiel having himself quite a start to this Sunday with back-to-back home runs. Change up, and that one is pulled foul. I believe Tyler Randerson will come into the game for Hill United, but because of this long inning, probably thrown his routine off just a little bit. Onishi, a drop ball. In conversation with his countryman, Okawa. Starting to see more Japanese players make their way over to North America for the ISC tournament season. Lenny Villavazzo, it is gone. And Hope Mason McKay is all right. Right through the breakaway fence. Lenny Villavazzo, a 2-run home run. And it's 5-2 Hill United. As the Chiefs have used the long ball to their advantage. This is a little scary. Villavazo, home run number 5. And it's 5-2 for the Chiefs. Is Taiga Onishi not with the same kind of fortune that he had one day ago against a terrific Bear Creek Gremlin lineup? He's recorded just 1 out since he replaced Riley Mannion, the starter, and has given up a couple of home runs and a hard-hit single by Bruno Matroni. So the Chiefs with 4 in the inning to lead by 3 after trailing it very early 2-0. Gonzalez, change-up, Shales. I don't think Tony Gonzalez is operating this weekend at 100%. Maybe even the last couple of weekends. Grounds out, but not before. Hill United, homer 2 more times, score 4, and lead by 3 on Softball Premier TV.
Catcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
Thought that Hill United would make a pitching change. It looked that way. Now Randerson is up throwing again, but Marco Diaz is going to work a 4th inning. That's the longest stretch this weekend for any pitcher. As in the first 4 games, all in the round robin, it was basically a 2-inning, 3-inning, 2-inning type setup. But Diaz in his 4th inning of work as he deals with Corey Way. And Marco goes to work with the lead for the first time this morning.
But I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
And this one catches Bruno Matroni on the left catching hand. He's trying to shake it out. And he has absolutely taken a beating early in the year, especially his forearm. This time the hand, but right back to work. And I'm not sure that hand always feels great to begin with when somebody's throwing it to you at 85 and 86 miles an hour. That's probably enough to begin with. As Matroni still checking it. And Diaz with a fine drop ball to get Corey Way swinging for his 6th strikeout of the game. So gave up the home run to Denny Benson, a 2-run shot in the first, then sailed through inning number 2, 1, 2, 3. worked his way out of a jam in the third, and I'm sure would love nothing better than to have a neat and tidy fourth. Mitch McKay, the shortstop, is the batter. Stephen Normand up and loosening. A new addition to the Batmen on a full-time basis. Hill United trying to advance to a tournament final for the third consecutive weekend. The only weekend they failed to make the final game was the first major tournament of the year, and that was the Bear Creek Classic in early June. Been a lot of great ball played in Ontario this month. Bear Creek, Mitchell, Simcoe, and now Kitchener. The teams will have next week off before returning the following Friday in Tavistock. And Diaz ties Mitch McKay in a knot. That pitch is almost unhittable. Down below the hands, just no chance. And now with two out, it's Cody Skelton, the designated player. Has a bit of a waggle to his swing. It's not Brad Ezekiel-like, and it's not up over his head either. But he kind of leans it forward. Still manages to get it back and get it through. And that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do when you're avoiding extra motion with Marco Diaz pitching. And Diaz took something off. He strikes out all three that he deals with in the fourth, and it remains 5-2 Hill United in the semifinal of the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament in Kitchener. Hill United exploded for 4 in the bottom of the third to lead this semifinal game 5-2. The winner of the contest will immediately deal in the title game with the first place finishing Bear Creek Express, who downed Hill United in a battle of 3-0 teams last night, game that went till about 10:30. 2-1. And Carlos Parra, a complete game, 7-inning, 1 hit, 1 run, 17 strikeout performance for the Bear Creek Express. As Khalil Luna digs in, as Taiga Onishi remains out there, came into the game in the third. in place of the starter, Riley Mannion, and it did not go that well for him. Gave up a couple of home runs. A solo shot to Brad Ezekiel that tied the game, and then Lenny Villavazzo, or actually gave Hill United a 3-2 lead. Alan Pecker had tied the game off of Riley Mannion. That's when the change was made. And then Villavazzo turned 3-2 into 5-2 with a 2-run homer of his own. Hill United with 3 home runs in the game, 2 of them off the bat of Brad Ezekiel. Luna flew out to Mason McKay in center field in his first appearance at home plate. Went 10 for 19 earlier this year at the U23 World Cup for Argentina. 6 home runs, tournament leading 13 runs batted in, and will draw a walk to start the bottom of the 4th. Brings up Blake Hunter. Blake also flew out to center field in inning number 2. No Roman Godoy this weekend for the Toronto Batmen, a massive addition, former Hill United Chief and the ace of this staff. He was the pitcher that recorded the victory in the first meeting of these teams back at the Bear Creek Classic. A liner caught by Okawa, who tried to double up Luna, but Luna able to get back to the bag. So Blake Hunter just can't quite start the hit parade this weekend. And this one forced Okawa to range a long way to his right to get to the liner. And there's one down. For Nick White, who started the 4-run third inning with a bounding double over the head on one big hop of Denny Benson at first, and right out of the batter's box, the speedster knew he wanted to get to second, and he was able to do it, and would later score on an Ellen Pecker RBI single. Another bunt, and Nick upset at himself, thought maybe he had a pitch to get down on the ground, and when he puts it in play, always has a chance, especially if he can push it to the left side of the diamond. Derek Hyde picks that out of the dirt. One out and one on for Nick White. He has 21 hits already this season. Okawa for one. McKay the turn, but Nick's almost impossible to double up, and that was as well done defensively as you can do. Good turn by Mitch McKay. Fine feed from Okawa. Put it in a great spot, but White safe on the fielder's choice. And 2 away for red-hot Alan Pecker. Allen hitting in the leadoff spot in place of the banged-up captain, Shane Boland, unavailable for duty, and it is crushing him. But the good news for Shane and all the other players nicked up, they'll have a couple weeks to get a little healthier. Allen has 5 hits here this weekend. Driven in 3 runs and has 2 homers. But will go down swinging versus Taiga Onishi, who has his first strikeout of the game. It remains 5-2, 4 in the books in the semifinal at the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament on Softball Premier TV. Looks like this might be Marco Diaz's game to go the distance. Owen Torrey's going to come in and pinch hit. He has homered against the Chiefs. He did that in their 7-3 win at the Bear Creek Classic. So he pinch hits for the catcher, Derek Hyde. Marco Diaz, 8 strikeouts in the game. Given up just the 2 hits. And he's walked a couple. Struck out the side in the 4th. Torrey from Chatsworth, Ontario. Could not catch up to that. Two for 4 with a home run and an RBI against Hill United in 2026. He was 2 for 8 at last year's ISC World Tournament. Did not have a hit versus Hill United in 2025. And shows a good eye as the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And 3-2 actually, because that is a walk for Torrey. And now center fielder Mason McKay, who walked in the 3rd. And that's a fair ball. A double, and the Batmen in business in the 5th. Mason McKay shoots it by Tony Gonzalez at first. Be tough to tell from this angle. But a fair ball and a double and no one out. For Ryuji Okawa. Flown out and grounded out to first. And Diaz in a little difficulty here in the fifth. And Bruno Matroni this time on the inside of the leg. Yikes. Ugh. See a chuckle. I'm not sure Bruno, he might be smiling on the outside. He's not on the inside. That's why I never wanted to be a goalie or a catcher. Rise ball missing. Great chance for the Batmen to find their way back in it. No one out, runners at second and third. And another foul. Off the bat of Okawa. That's exactly what Diaz would be looking for. Strikeout number 9 to get Okawa looking. And Jeff Ellsworth is going to have a conversation about how to deal with Nick Shales, who is more than capable of tying the game with one swing. There is a base open, but then it's Tyler Pauli who's hitting the ball really well. This is a scenario where you'd like the batter with a base open to hit what you want him to. You want to dictate. And this gets away, but right back quickly off the screen. So no chance for Owen Torrey, who runs pretty well, to score. Feels like this half inning could go a long way in determining the fate, certainly of the Batmen. Ball and a strike to Nick Shales, who struck out and lined out in the game. Hit the last ball hard to left field, a sinking liner. Caught by Quentin Bruce. Marco Diaz trying to work his way out of a jam. And there's another strikeout. After the walk and the double, back-to-back strikeouts. And this a rise, tailing away from Shales. Pauli singled, scored, and walked. has 3 hits in a couple of games versus Hill United. And had a good rip at what looked to be a rise from Diaz. Runners remain at second and third, but now there are 2 out. At one point, there was none. Grabs that rag, Gorilla Gold, and delivers on the ground via Vazo. And Marco Diaz engineers his way out of trouble in the top of the 5th. It remains 5-2 for Hill United. You're watching Chiefs Softball on Softball Premier TV. A large reason that Hill United has an advantage in the game is Brad Ezekiel. He's batted twice. He's homered twice. Numbers 4 and 5 on the season as he heats up on this tournament final Sunday. Had just 1 hit in the first 4 games. As clutch as they come in the sport. His biggest hit this year, fair to say, was the 3-run homer to win the Canada East tournament in Mitchell a couple of weekends ago in an extra inning. Homered off of both Mannion and Taiga Onishi. As Onishi falls behind in the count. Has he hit a third? He absolutely has. Oh, my goodness. Brad Ezekiel, 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. What a way to turn a weekend. That's why he was named the top player in the ISC in the decade between 2010 and 2020. And it's not going away in the 2020s either. His 3rd home run of the game. And it's 6-2. It is certainly the first time in the last 2 seasons that Brad's hit 3 home runs in a game. He did have a couple of 2-run home run games last season. We'll have to double check on that. Certainly do not remember him going deep 3 times in a game. Quentin Bruce, as the lead has grown to 4. Mitch McKay on the run and made a strong throw to get Bruce. Bruno Matroni has had a quality morning. He's doubled, singled, and scored. He came home on a 2-run homer off the bat of Lenny Viavazzo. This one high in the air, Okawa and Mason McKay, and it's Okawa. I think McKay tried his best to call the second baseman off, but did not cause any type of collision. Generally, the ball would belong to the player on the way in rather than the player on the way out. Just an easier play. Two out for Lenny Viavazzo. And he homered his last time up, but 2-run drive. All 3 of Ezekil's home runs have been solo shots. And yes, I said all 3. Ties up Viavazzo inside. Hill United trailed 2-0 after a half inning, courtesy of a Denny Benson 2-run homer that started the scoring, and the Chiefs have responded with 4 home runs of their own and 6 unanswered. Nick Shales. Lenny didn't even drop his bat. More Bradley Ezekil. A 3rd home run in the game, and it's 6-2. Hill United in the semifinal of the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament in Kitchener. Tyler Anderson does enter the game against his former mates. He was a longtime member of the Toronto Batmen before making the switch in the offseason to Hill United. Tyler has pitched 8 innings against the Batmen this year, giving up 5 runs on 9 hits, 10 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Is the line complete on Marco Diaz? Who had a couple of clean innings and a couple that he had to battle his way out of, including the 5th. So the line on Diaz, 5 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts, and 3 walks through 85 pitches in the game. So Randerson in to close it out if he can. And faces Danny Benson, who has supplied the 2 Batman runs with a first inning homer. And he's out in front of a changeup. It's been a good pitch for Randerson this weekend. From New Hamburg, Ontario. And 2 quick strikes. Randerson with 2 outstanding innings yesterday in particular in the 4-1 win over the Chiefs' arch rival, the Bear Creek Gremlins, in a 4-1 win. He closed that game out with 2 scoreless innings in the 6th and 7th, and this starts well for him as the drop ball gets Denny Benson for out number 1. And he needed only 3 pitches to do it. This in a great location. And now left fielder Corey Way, who struck out a couple of times, versus Diaz. The first ball delivered by Randerson. In the 5th, the Batmen had runners at second and third with nobody out, but unable to bring anyone home. And you wonder if that was their true opportunity to get back in the game. And then Bradley Ezekiel added his 3rd home run of the contest to extend the Chiefs' advantage. Randerson very deliberate in how he goes about his business. And a base hit delivered up the middle by Corey Way, who now has 4 hits on the year versus Hill United. He's performed admirably against them. And Randerson dealing now with shortstop Mitch McKay. Always interesting to see who the better studier in some ways is when you play with someone for a long time. Is the advantage with the batter or is the advantage with the pitcher? Mitch McKay playing for Canada at last year's World Cup. This one's going to roll foul. And at the World Games. And certainly has an opportunity to be a significant part of the Team Canada process moving forward. Canada in a big turnover position after the World Cup last year with many really quality veterans ending their national team days. Mitch McKay high in the air. Khalil Luna says he'll take care of it, and that's exactly what he does. You always feel when a ball is hit to Khalil Luna like it's going to end up in a good spot. The wind circling a little here. So a ball gets up in the air that way, it can move considerably. Cody Skelton right back to the screen. He's more than capable of changing a game with one swing. (6-2) Hill United leading this semifinal. The Bear Creek Express on deck as a group, awaiting the winner. In a game that'll likely follow this one, about half an hour following the completion. Originally scheduled for noon. Ball and 2 strikes to Cody Skelton with 2 out in the 6th. And Skelton on the high rise just manages to get a piece of it. Another 1-2 on the way to Skelton. Change up. Count runs even. See where the combination of Matroni and Randerson go with this. Oh, Randerson thought it was strike 3. Thought he had a change up on the outside corner. It was close. And Randerson, who looked a little angry. This is a quality drop to get Skelton for the 3rd out. Put a little extra on it, and it worked well. Bottom of the 6th we go in a Hill United Chiefs 6-2 lead on the home of Hill United Chiefs softball, Softball Premier TV. Hill United with a 4-run lead as they're attempting to advance to a third consecutive tournament final. Went 3-1 in the round robin. And now with a 6-2 lead in the semifinal against the Toronto Batmen. Trying to knock off the Batmen for the third time in 4 meetings. Tony Gonzalez. Taiga Onishi took over from the starter, Riley Mannion, in the third. And has given up 3 big flies. And Gonzalez will start the inning by grounding out to Danny Benson. Bit of a frustrating day for Tony, who's 0 for 3, and that is rare. Luciano Biondi is going to come on and pinch hit for Khalil Luna. If Hill United goes on to win this game, Biondi almost certainly will catch the final, with Bruno Matroni catching this game. It would probably take a back-to-back situation at a world tournament before you would ask Matroni to catch back-to-back games. He'll be in the hitting lineup. That is almost for certain, and he's swinging it well today. Biondi, the batter, just 23 years of age. Okawa has to be quick, and was. So 2 quick outs for Taiga Onishi and the Batman in the bottom of the 6th. And what Hill United would love is for Blake Hunter to deliver a hit right here, just to have him feeling a tad better. This is a really good player and a really good hitter. But there are just some weekends where even when you hit it well, it doesn't result in good things. So Blake's 0 for 2 in the game. Bradley Ezekiel has been the star of the show. He has 3 home runs. Onishi with a high rise, had good velocity on it. As the wind starts to gust a little here in Kitchener. It's a very pleasant day after the heat wave, I think, is finally ended in this part of the world. It was some hot here during the week. And Hunter with a patient and good eye to draw a 2-out walk. Nick White has a double in the game. And he turned it into a double. It was a bounding ball over the head of first baseman Danny Benson, and came out of the batter's box with one plan, and that was to get to second. And he had a mighty cut at the first pitch from Onishi. And Nick has good power, too. Tied him up. Okawa has to shovel, and he didn't get it there. That is just a demonstration of the speed of Nick White. Any ball for this guy in play can give him a chance. And he has his second hit of the day. Boy, can he get down the line in a hurry. Probably as fast as anyone in the sport. So 2 on for Alan Pecker. Allen has an RBI single in the game. He tied it at 2 in the third. And you know where he wants to put it. Tried to hit that to Guelph. What a swing by the team leader in home runs with 8. And he's hit a couple of them here this weekend. If he was to homer here, the game would be over. Change up from Onishi. And the guy on deck could end it too if it gets to him. He has 3 homers in the game. That's Brad Ezekiel. He's having a chat with some of the Batmen in their dugout. Two and 2 to Alan Pecker. And you know what he's up there thinking and wanting to do. He wants to end the game. But he won't. So Onishi strikes him out for a second straight time. And the Batmen will have one more crack at it in the top of the 7th. They need a large rally. They trail by 4 in the semifinal game of the Peter Hallman Memorial Tournament.
Catcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
Hill United 3 outs away from advancing to a third straight tournament final game. They won the tournament in Mitchell, lost in heartbreaking fashion in their own event last weekend, the Chiefs Challenge in Simcoe, when the Bear Creek Gremlins scored 5 in the top of the 7th to win 7-5. And 3 more outs without giving up 4 runs would mean they'll advance to play someone other than the Gremlins in a title game. It'll be the Bear Creek Express, who are in a championship tournament final for the first time in 2026. fact, might even be their first Final Four appearance of 2026. They were not in the Final Four in Mitchell or last weekend. But they're in the final here. Derek Hyde, the catcher, facing his old buddy Tyler Anderson. And on the topic of who knows who better, well, Derek Hyde has caught a lot of games over the years for Tyler Anderson. So this is definitely a fun confrontation. And a changeup that evens the count. Hill United with 4 home runs in the game, 3 off the bat of Bradley Ezekiel. What a morning for number 11. And a third strike called, much to the chagrin of Hyde. Mason McKay's been on base twice. Walked and then doubled. Few key moments in the game, but for the Batmen, a real key was in the 5th inning when they had runners at second and third with nobody out and were unable to score off starting pitcher Marco Diaz, who went 5 before giving way to Randerson. And Randerson working ahead. Petroni and Gonzalez both having a laugh. No balls and 2 strikes to the center fielder, Mason McKay. McKay fouls it, hit it hard. Just out in front of it. These two are good friends. Interesting, they were both picked up by Hill United last year to play at the USA Nationals in Oklahoma City. Expanded rosters at that tournament. Luna has to hurry, and does. And he's got a big grin. Strong throwing arm and has such good hands, number 95. Waits for it to come down and zip. As Ryuichi Okawa hopes to keep the Batmen alive here. They're down to their last out. Ball and a strike to the second baseman, added to the roster with some players unavailable for the Batmen here in Kitchener this weekend, including their ace pitcher, Roman Godoy, back in Argentina for a couple of weeks with next weekend off. Tyler Anderson on in relief, trying to close it out. Ball 3. Popped the mitt, but out of the zone. And if Okawa can get on, then you're dealing with the heart of the Batman order. There are definitely times where I feel like a pitch clock would be beneficial in this sport. There's a second strike. A full count to Ryuji Okawa. And he's walked him. And Nick Shales, you know, he doesn't want to make the last out against his former group. Nick, a big reason why Hill United has had the great success that they have. He is 0 for 3 in the game. All those at-bats versus Marco Diaz. And he had a big hack at that first pitch. And you know, for Anderson, who played for many years with the Batmen, like Shales, it's a different type of feeling when you've spent and invested that much time with a group. Now they're on the opposite side of the fence, both of them. So Okawa, the base runner. Alan Pecker in foul ground to end the game. As the Hill United Chiefs will indeed play in a third straight tournament final in Ontario as they down the Toronto Batmen for the second time in this event. 6-1 yesterday, 6-2 today behind the hitting of Bradley Ezekiel, who went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. Well, we will take a break and be back with the title game. Hill United and the Bear Creek Express will be back in probably 20 to 30 minutes. Until then, so long for now from Kitchener.